Hello, everybody. So we are starting our last unit for this semester one, and this one is really unusual because it's split up into two different tests, and they're not related in any way. So the first one is on something called conic sections, and the second one is on something called sequences and series. So let's begin. Before we get into, we're going to do conic sections first. And one of the major skills that you're going to be an absolute master at is something called completing the square. So that's what the first day is about. Let's just get comfortable with something called completing the square. You should have done this at least once somewhere in your history of math. But let's think about this sentence. So 4x squared plus 20x plus 25, that is a perfect square trinomial. But 4x squared plus 25x plus 25 isn't. Well, what's the difference? What is a perfect square trinomial? First of all, trinomial, there's three things. And perfect square indicates that something times itself. And once you factor both of these, it should be obvious. The first one factors into 2x plus 5 times 2x plus 5. So it's 2x plus 5 squared. The second one factors into two factors that are different. So it's not a perfect square. So one of the things that we have to do is we're given a trinomial, and you have to create something so that you get a perfect square trinomial. So for example, x squared plus 8x plus something equals 1. The equals 1 doesn't matter. But what does matter is, what could I put right here so that I get, not only do I get a trinomial, but I get a perfect square trinomial. So what number could I put here so that I get a perfect square trinomial? And one of the best things to do in math is to look at a bunch of examples and see if you can kind of infer something. So I've got 6 perfect square trinomials listed. Let's see if we can find a pattern. So x squared plus 4x plus 4. If this third term is a 4, then this factors into x plus 2 times x plus 2. So x plus 2 squared. What's underneath this? This is 25. So you should be trying to be thinking, what's underneath these blue squares? Try to find some sort of connection. This factors into x plus 5 squared. X plus 5 times x plus 5. What is under here? It is positive 1. So because now this trinomial factors into x minus 1 times x minus 1. What is going to be, so let's look at what we got so far. We got positive 4, positive 25, positive 1. All 6 examples, they all have 1x squared. So that means it really doesn't, the impact, what's underneath these blue squares is not really affected by what's right here. What is this middle term. So how is 4 related to 4? How is 10 related to 25? How is negative 2 related to 1? How is 12 related to, what's under here? 36. X plus 6 times x plus 6 will give you this trinomial. So it's x plus 6 squared. Under here, 49. And under here, 64. So how do I get this term? You would have to take half of the b value and square it. That is the key thing. That will complete the square. Half of that b value and then square it. So half of 14 is 7. And if you square 7, you get 49. Half of 12 is 6. And if you square 6, you get 36. Half of negative 16 is negative 8. And squaring negative 8 is positive 64. So for this example, half of 8 is 4. And if I square 4, I get 16. But now wait, you just added 16 to the left side of the equation. Now it's not balanced anymore. You have to keep the balance. So since we chose to add 16 on the left side of the equal sign, we must add 16 to the right side of the equal sign. We have to keep it balanced. And now what do I have? Well, this trinomial factors into x plus 4 times x plus 4. So x plus 4 squared. And then 1 plus 16 is 17, and then I can continue to solve. You can take the square root of both sides, subtract by 4, and then you're done. But I'm really concerned in getting this far. And that's what your homework is today, your practice. Let's practice 3 more. So here's what your homework looks like. You have this equation and you want to set it up into, you kind of want to do the first part of completing the square. So you set it up into, you get this far. What is going on? You get right here. So how can I make this look like this? And notice your answer. It's something squared equals something else. Well, this is the way I prefer to do it. If I can erase this. Good night, nurse. All right. I get all the, let's go back to this one. I get the x squared and the bx. I just get them on the left side, all by themselves on the left side. So I've got x squared and negative 18x, but notice I've got minus 2x here. So I want everything, I want all the x's on the left side. And I'm going to keep 64 on the right side. So to do that, I'm going to add 2x. And negative 18 plus 2 gives me that negative 16, right? And now 64 is all by itself on the right side. Now I complete the square. But see these 2 lavender boxes? Whatever I add right here, I had to add over here because I'm keeping the balance. So what is underneath here? It's half of this squared. So half of this is negative 8. And if I square negative 8, I get 64. So I add 64 to the left, add 64 to the right. On the right, I get 128 because 64 plus 64 is 128. But what does this factor into? 2 numbers that multiply to 64 and add to negative 16, x minus 8. X minus 8 squared. So I will go to my delta math, type in x minus 8 right here, which is being squared, 128 right here, and I'm done. 2 more to go. Two more. Okay, so notice you got 5x squared, 43x over here, and 7x over here. So the first thing I'm going to do is get this 7x over here, so minus 7x. And then this negative 125, I want all the numbers on the right side, all the variables on the left side. That's just the way I do it. So I'm going to add 125, and I'm going to subtract 7x, and I get this. Minus 7x makes this become negative 50, which is what I wrote. And if you add 125, you get positive 125. Now I need to complete, I forget, not before we complete the square yet, notice there's a 5 right here. I did not have a coefficient other than 1 with all these examples, and I want to keep it that way. I want the a value to be 1 all the time. And right now the a value is 5. So, but that's okay. I've got an equal sign. I'm going to divide the whole left side and the whole right side by 5 to make it 1x squared. And if I divide it by 5, negative 50 becomes negative 10, and 125 becomes 25. Now I complete the square. What are 2? Okay, so I divide negative 10 by 2. I cut it in half, and that makes it negative 5. And if I square negative 5, I get 25. Remember, the key is to take half of b and then square it, which is also equal to b squared over 4. So whichever one is easier for you to remember, these two things are the same thing. So half of negative 10 is negative 5. If I square that, I get 25. Got to do it to both sides, keep the balance. So 25 plus 25 equals 50. And then how do I factor that? Well, 2 numbers that multiply to 25 and add to negative 10 are negative 5 and negative 5. So it's x minus 5 squared. And that's what I put here. X minus 5 is being squared, and all that equals 50. Last example. Okay, another mess. I've got the variable on the right. I want it on the left. I got the number on the left. I want that on the right. So I'm just going to flip these. I'm going to add 20x to both sides. I'm going to add 206 to both sides. And I get that. Now, before I complete the square, I have to get rid of this 2. So I have to divide both sides by 2. And I got to pause it because I made a little mistake here. Okay, so the value of checking your work. So I made a little mistake, and as I was looking over it for the second time, I realized something went wrong. So right here, Again, you get all the variables on the left side, all the numbers on the right side. And before I complete the square, I want to get rid of this 2. And I have a lot of power because I've got an equal sign. I can do whatever I want. So I'm going to divide everything by 2. That will make this 1x squared. That will make this 10x. And that will make this 103. Now I complete the square. I cut the b value in half and square it. So half of 10 is 5. And if I square 5, I get 25, keeping the balance. 103 plus 25 is 128. This factors into x plus 5 times x plus 5. And I've done it. So there is a homework assignment on Delta Math. Most of the homework this chapter will be on my math lab. This is one exception, the first one. We have to be comfortable with completing the square. So please do that and reach out if you have any problems or questions.